Mr. Deshawn. My question is, you got 20 minutes to plan the zombie apocalypse. What do you do? What do you have 24 hours? Is it outdoors? Get my family together, find a safe spot to be at, and just wait it out.
Alright, so I'm wearing a lot of hats. So I'm hosting the event, I'm one of the speakers, everything. Alright, so listen, I want to thank you guys again. Welcome all you guys. That was great. So now at least you guys have an idea of who you sharing the room with. Alright, so like I said, please silence your phones. I just want to make sure I'm covering all bases. And yeah, man, I'm just looking forward to a great event. One thing I do want to say is, like, take off your armor, like, take off your shield. If there's any place that you can feel safe, this is an environment where you can feel safe. I know oftentimes we're hurdling through life, you know what I'm saying? Always have to be tough, be macho, be masculine, wear our fears, wear our emotions, because we play a very specific role not only in society, but in our families and our relationships. Listen, this is a place where you can be safe, man. So take off that armor, you know what I'm saying? Breathe a little bit, man. Let your hair down a little bit, so to speak, and just open your mind and just enjoy the event, all right? So first, I would like to start the event the same way I start off my program. Like I did tell you guys in the beginning about my program that's housed in different high schools. So we're going to start with a pause exercise. Right, we're not going to do it for too long, but just do a minute, right? Basically, what you're doing as a breathing exercise, but this is my introduction to the youth of meditation, all right? So, yeah, many people meditate much longer than that, but just like I said, for you to take off your armor, I'm going to assist you in that process by us starting with this brief pause exercise, all right? So everybody, you could just plant your feet to the floor, close your eyes, sit upright, all right? And then you're going to just take deep breaths. Inhale. Exhale. And we're going to do this for about a minute. Inhale. Exhale. Want to free your mind. Become one with your spirit. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Take in all that positivity. Exhale. Let go of all the stress, all the negativity. Inhale. Exhale. As your feet is planted, inhale, right? You want to start to feel free. Your body starts to feel free. You almost don't even feel like you're sitting in the chair. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 10 more seconds. Come on, guys. Inhale. Free your mind. Free your spirit. Exhale. One last time. Inhale. Exhale. All right, open your eyes. All right, that was great. And I'm glad that we started that way, because today is Sunday. 9 times out of 10, that probably was the first minute that you gave to yourself all week, right? Where you were just one with yourself, right? And 1 minute is not enough, right? But that may be the start of you understanding how important that is, right? And add that to your daily, let that become one of your daily healthy habits, all right? Where you start your day, and I'm going to get into my spiel, so I'm going to introduce the speaker, but while I'm on this subject, right? So many of us, right? You're students, you're workers, you have jobs, you have careers, right? And you wake up, and your responsibility, your fathers, right? You're giving yourself to everybody and to everything, right? To your job, to your family, right? The minute you wake up, you're putting on your hats and responsibilities, right? But before you do that, give you. All right? It's really important to give you. That way you don't feel so depleted at the end of the day. Because before the chaos of the day take place, right? You start off your day by giving you. All right? And that's most important. All right, cool. So we're going to start off. We got my brother. Listen, this friendship turned into a brotherhood very easily. This man is spiritually gifted. I appreciate him. He's a great friend. That's why I asked him to be one of the speakers on the panel today. So we're going to start with Nick. Nick is going to discuss, I think, mainly mental health, or I'm gonna let Nick do what he do, because he's great at what he does, and nobody can do what he do like he do it. So Nick, without further ado, the floor is yours. You want to switch gears and you take the middle? Is that good? He's good with here? Okay.
Alright, peace, everybody good? Yes. I don't know what time I have.
10 to 20?
Alright. Alright, my name is Nick. I can just give y'all a little background. There was a lot of things that was mentioned. I want to try to consolidate like most of the stuff that we talked about, like accountability, responsibility. So I'm gonna be using words here and there just to try to kind of like grasp the concept so it can stick. And one of the things that Stockton mentioned was, where do we learn how to do this stuff? We just have these expectations of we know we have to do things, right? And the principles with accountability and responsibility, right? Responsibility, when you reverse the word, is the ability to respond, right? So we're being held accountable for things that we were never taught. So when you think about an account or a bank account, right? You gotta deposit something in it. So if we ain't have fathers, most of us probably grew up without fathers, things of that nature, right? So we expected to do these things and have the ability to respond and be accountable for things, but nothing was deposited in us. But we being held accountable for stuff.
Can you repeat that?
Accountability and responsibility, right? We being held accountable for things and also supposed to have the ability to respond to things that we were never taught. And we grow up with these expectations of, I have to do this and I have to do that, and we just carry these burdens of what it is to be a man. And we use a lot of limited language that limits us as far as what we should be doing, who we can be, and who we're supposed to be. So language is one of my things that I've been gifted with, and I want us to be mindful from today on, like how we speak to each other, how we speak to others, how we speak to ourselves, because our thoughts and our language, it programs our life. You know what I mean? So I'm going to get into some principles about time, what it is to be a God man, right? Because we talking about, what it is to be a man? What is to be a man? But man is a limited term, right? We're spirits with a body, not a body with a spirit. We always just focusing on our body. Oh, I gotta work out, I gotta eat. But what about our thoughts? What about our feelings, right? What about our emotions? So I want to just talk about how we can balance those things out in time, and just to follow up on the theme of, his program, which is, again, men elevate now. So we're going to talk about what is a man, what is now. Now deals with time, and how do we actually elevate. All right, so I'm going to be going around saying some things, but I'm going to use some principles so it can grasp. Right, so one of the reasons why we're here too is to deconstruct the constructs, right? We got these things in our mind that's been built up from the world and other people, these expectations of what a man should be. And we don't really have an idea of what a man should be, because man is not a destination. It's actually a journey, right? There's a book that I read that said that we're made in God's image, right? Image means characteristics or likeness, so we can do things, right? God doesn't live in time. He lives outside of time. He has no limitations at all. And we live in time with limitations, but we also have an aspect of us that's invisible. That's why we think, that's why we can feel, that's why we got emotions. These are the things that we can't touch, that's intrapsychic, it's invisible. And God wants us to be down here to learn how to use the invisible self, to express the invisible self, literally to express that. E-express, to press that out of you, to create the world that He wants you to have for you. But we were never taught those things because we used the visible, limited examples from people, places, and things that constructed our mind a specific way of how a man should be and what we should be doing, with no real insight as to what we really should be doing. Does this make a little bit of sense?
Yes, sir.
So we're talking about time, right? Time can be broken down in a lot of different ways. He said men elevate now. In order to live, you got to be live. Same word. Right? You got to pay attention to what's going on now. A lot of us got a lot of traumas from the stuff that we didn't have. My father wasn't there. I was abandoned, sexually abused, all of these different things, and we just always looking back. And you would never know where you're going if you always just looking back. Right? It's like the car. What's the biggest glass in the car?
The windshield.
The windshield, right? Which one is the smallest? The rear view mirror, because you're not supposed to be looking back all the time, right? You're supposed to always be looking forward. So a lot of us is stuck in the past, can't see what's going on right now, to know what we need to do right now to move forward in the future, because everything is dealing with the past and every day is yesterday. Every day is yesterday. So we don't have no hope of what we should be doing, right? So the time for you to get to where you need to be is now. And as a man, it's time for us to elevate right now. And in order to live, you gotta be live. So pay attention to the stuff that's going on in your life right now, and don't spend too much time looking back. Use the past as a learning opportunity, right? And you can't stay there. You can't dwell in the past. You can't live in the past. Learn what you gotta learn from that. Come forward, because the past is to prepare you for the present. And then once you do what you gotta do right now, it's gonna help you to move forward so that you can have hope. So we got the time right now is now. So, to my point, there's a book that I read that said there's a purpose in the time for every activity under the heavens, right? which means time is measured by activities. There's a time to start it and there's a time to end it. Time is moving super duper fast right now, and we just lost an hour, right? So we got all these activities. If you go back like 1,000 years ago, it wasn't really that much stuff happening. Things was happening, but not at the pace that it's happening now. So if you're measuring activity with time, think about how much time you got in the activities that you got to do it. You don't really have that much time to do it. Now you got these expectations and responsibilities, and you're accountable for stuff that you don't have time to do. A father that never showed you this. We're not really connected to an infinite spiritual realm to give us the capacity to keep on doing it, and now we got this burden. It's making a little bit of sense, y'all?
Yes, sir.
Right? So we don't really have that much time. And there's so many different things going on, which is why time is moving faster now, because there's more activities to do with not enough time. So like every day is yesterday. You ain't finished what you did yesterday, you're doing it today right now because there's too much stuff going on. And now with all of this stuff happening, we got all these responsibilities and accountabilities. I got family, I got work, I got relationship issues. You know, your wife or your girl got these expectations and stuff that happened with her pops, and you gotta be her man pops, and you don't understand the trauma she got, you don't understand the laws that govern you, you feel like she's disrespecting you. All of these responsibilities start to affect our mental health. It starts to affect us spiritually, then this stuff starts to leak out. Right? So I'm saying that to say, I want us to really take time out to understand how to use our time better as a God man. Because from the beginning of time, even when we was little, that's why he's like, we gotta let our head down, right? You know, who's the fastest? I'm faster than you. I'm stronger than you. This is what we know what it is to be a man. I'm faster than you. I'm stronger than you. I'm bigger than you. Right? And then when you get older, that starts to transition and change. I got more money than you. Right? I got more girls than you. It's always a competition with men. We've been competing since we was kids. Always competing. Now we sizing each other up. Say something crazy. Your arms ain't even that big, Stop. Right? We be acting like, yo, it's all peace, what's up? But we be sizing each other up. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, and now we've been programmed and our mind has been constructed to be competing with one another instead of actually coming together, because we can't do nothing by ourselves. We're not created to do stuff by ourselves, which is why he created this space so that we can deconstruct the constructs and come together and not be competing with one another. Because everything is a competition, right? So we want to get out of the mindset of just having this competition and this separation. Because as men, you got to do stuff by yourself. You got to do it in silence. You can't tell people what's going on, because speaking sometimes is a sign of weakness. You can't show that, you know, that you actually sad or you down, because that's a sign of weakness. That's not what it is to be a man. It's really not. That book that I read that said that we made in the image of God, if you understand who God is, God got feelings and emotions. And we have to learn how to express those, except the only one that we know how to use, which is being angry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to feel down, but we don't live in it, we don't stay there. As men, we still gotta balance things out, because we think about God in general, like nobody gives him nothing really. He just provides, he just does stuff for us. And as a man, we came after him. So the burden that we have, we mimicking him. So there is a burden. So it ain't no, I can just chill. Ain't no chilling. The time to elevate is now. It ain't no chilling. You gotta accept the responsibility of the burden. You gotta also give your time some rest to just chill, to download the information that you need to go back and give yourself some time. You can't just keep going and going and going and going and going. You gotta stop and you gotta recharge. But you can't be recharging with stuff from the world. You gotta recharge from the spiritual realm. He's gonna give you what you need here when you stop. He's gonna give you what you need here to keep on going. Because you can have a destination in your mind, but if there ain't no energy, that ain't the gas. You ain't got no gas to get there when you're going in your mind, which is the destination. But we just mimicking people. Just doing stuff, and we're not really connected. So this is the place here where, again, we can let our head down, as he said, right? It ain't a competition. We want to come together. So hopefully we can have this a little more often, and we don't have to compete with one another. You know what I mean? We can actually help each other out. You know what I mean? We can be wise and share what we need to share, and actually be vulnerable, right? Because all of this being the man stuff and being tough and growing up in the neighborhood, we constipated with pride. Just everybody puffed up, walking around all crazy, right? And we don't need to do that. This is not the place where we can do that. We can share, we can express ourselves. Because if we made in God's image, we got to express ourselves. Express. This is the place where we can do that. And as we do that, to get to our destinations, we can express through life as well. We can't keep repeating the same stuff. Oh, I'm getting the same relationships. My bank account is still the same. This is going on. Every day is yesterday. And God is like, I got a whole plan for you, but you ain't talking to me. You don't stop. People don't be knowing, like all the stuff that we picking up, God be like, all right, cool, I can't talk to you during the day because you're running around with chicks, or you at work, or you doing this. I'm gonna wake you up in your sleep. Now you can't sleep now. You just thinking, I can't sleep, and now you on the phone, Facebook, Instagram with the thumb. And God's like, nah, you're supposed to be talking to me because I already know what's gonna happen tomorrow and 2 weeks from now, and I'm trying to give you the plan to express myself through you, to express yourself through that situation, but you ain't talking to me. And that's why we just men. We not spiritual men, we not supernatural. We need to be able to go beyond the limitations that's set by this matrix. So we here to deconstruct all the stuff that they taught us about being a man and be a spiritual man. Because God, there's no limitation. So we made in his image, we gotta use God's traits and characteristics to move beyond these limitations. Now as a black man, y'all probably don't even know what I do. Right? I'm a professor at Yeshiva University with Jewish people with the yarmulkes and all that. Right? I'm also a professor at Fordham University, and I'm assistant vice president at a healthcare facility for methadone, Suboxone, detox rehab, a whole bunch of stuff, right? And so when I go into these institutions, according to the system, I'm not supposed to be there. But guess what? I got the plan because it ain't no limitations. God is like, there ain't no limitations. When you believe that and you know that, it's no place that I can take you. It ain't no place that I'm in there, they looking at me like, oh, who's this black guy with the beard? And they got the yarmulkes on because they believe that they better than us and this, that, and the third. But I know real history. And I know why I'm really there.
Facts.
Right? So they come out and they be social workers and stuff like that with racist ideologies and all of this stuff. And I'm in there, God got me in there reprogramming them. So when they come out being social workers and dealing with our people, they know what time it is. God got a whole plan for everybody here. But he wants you to spend some time with him to get that plan and deconstruct the constructs that have been constructed in our mind of what we think it is to be a man. I know I'm going fast because it's time, but the part of you that knows. When you need it, it's going to pop up. All right? To my next point, right? Again, we got to come together and hopefully this is the space where we'll be able to do that. So when I mentioned being made in his image and there's no destination, right? It's a journey. We can't be limited. You know, human being, right? We're human beings. Being is to become. It's not just humans existing. We just eating, sleeping, farting, having sex, waking up, eating, doing the same. We're just existing, but being is to become. So in order to grow and to get to that destination, right, we gotta be connected to God. I promise you. It's no other way you are going to be able to do it. The brother said the book that he would take was the Bible. It's a good book to read. I promise you. And there's other stuff outside of the Bible too. He didn't just put everything inside of the Bible. There's other things you can read too to help you to be able to move forward. So we're saying that, right? We say, oh well, what is a man? Right? Because it says men elevate now. What is a man? You are a spirit with a body, not a body with a spirit. You gotta remember that. You gotta remember that, because you always get wrapped up into your feelings and what you gotta do for your body. Well, I gotta work, because then I gotta eat, and then I gotta pay the bills so I can have a place to sleep at. And God's like, I'm already taking care of that for you. That's why you got the job. I need you to focus on the invisible aspect so that you can get more stuff, right? So when somebody asks you what is a man, or even females, like, well, what are you doing, this, that, and the third? You know what my answer is? I can't tell you what a man is. Just like you can't tell, nobody can tell you who God is. God is an experience. I can tell you who I believe he is, but he don't got no limitations. So the moment you start opening your mouth and say, I'm a social worker, I'm a businessman, I'm a this, I'm that, you already limited yourself. So in order to know me, you gotta be with me and you gotta experience me. Because there's more to come, because I don't stop. There's an element to me that just keep on growing and it keeps on going. So don't ever limit yourself and tell people what you do. Because you ask people who they are and they're gonna tell you what they do. What you do is not who you are, that's just what you do. But who you are is you a spirit with a body. That's who you are. And it ain't no limitations with your spirit. So don't let people limit you by what you're doing right now. Or you ain't got no money, you broke. Or I don't want to be with you because this, that, and the third. Now my ex, she's stressed out now. Because she left me when I was on the come up, when I was becoming. right? And as she with a dude she don't like, she's like, oh, I had the broke nigga. I was like, I told you I was on the come up. And now she see me, she tight. Right? And I'm not saying that you do that for those reasons, but it's like, yo, you should have been with me for me to experience me. You know what I mean? So don't ever limit yourself, and you can give people certain things, but this is not the end for you. This is a destination. There's no destination in man. It's a whole journey. And as you're on your way, you're gonna pick up on some things. And when you're on a journey going through life, there's some things you gotta drop off. Right? Because we pick up stuff as we go along. Trauma, abandonment, good stuff, bad stuff, and certain things you gotta just let go. Because you're still on the journey. They say if you want to go somewhere fast, you go by yourself. But if you want to go far, then you go with other people. That's why we all here, because we all need each other. We so used to just going places, going nowhere fast. Because it ain't no destination to be in the man. It's a journey. Where are we going? We got to do it together. We got to do it together. It's not walking around, ice grilling, and it's like, yo, you acting like that because you ain't got nothing. And nothing to look forward to. Hopeless people is the most dangerous people to be around. Because we be a combination of physical and spiritual stuff. So people that don't have anything physical, it's easy to produce an invisible pride. They overcompensate for that. I'm looking at you like, I gotta protect you for me. Because I got a whole lot of stuff that I need to do as far as why I'm here and who I need to be around. So you're really not that tough. I promise you ain't that tough. But we gotta protect ourselves, and we also gotta respect the laws of man, because there's laws that govern men. And one of the main laws is respect. It's respect. All across the board. You see people, peace. Peace. You know what I mean? You show love, make eye contact, you know what I mean? Whether it's this or that, or give it a hug, because we just programmed in New York, or to be dudes and like, oh, let me stay away from him because I might have to do this. Nah, always show love. When you show men respect, yo, it's automatic. We gotta be intentional about showing respect. When you break a law, something happens. We don't even understand the laws of ourselves or the laws of females, but we want to be with women. Then when they do certain things and we break in their laws, they spazzing on us, and then they breaking our laws and not respecting us. Because they don't know that respect is a law for us. They break that law, we spazzing on them. We don't spend enough time with God to know the laws of ourselves and just respect in general. So we gotta show each other respect and stop competing with one another and doing all this extra stuff, right? So I'm gonna end this off with, in order to function like this, y'all, to function like a God man and balance out our time to elevate, to actually be a man, the first thing we gotta do, y'all, is we gotta stop. Because if being a man is a journey and not a destination, you could just keep on going and going and going. And that's what we've been doing. That's why we tired. Mentally tired, emotionally tired, your elbow hurt, your knee hurt, your headache. These are all psychosomatic symptoms, things that's going on in your mind and your heart that's now expressing itself through your body. Now we got high blood pressure, now we got diabetes, right? All these things is manifestations of stress and a burden that men carry because of the accountability and responsibility that we have as men. So the first thing you gotta do is stop. Once you stop, that's when you start to get the downloads on what to do next and how to manage your time and who you should be around and who you should start dumping off on this journey. Because everybody not there for the destination. You gotta dump certain people off, right? 5 more minutes, right?
No.
I'm done? All right, 2 minutes. All right, so look, because I got a lot to say in so much little bit of time. Y'all wish I could be here forever, right? So the first thing is, you just gotta stop. Get the plan. Start defining your relationships, y'all. Who's around you right now? The principle of relationship is relative, relate. Relative and relate is what you got in common with the person, right? Ship is something that moves forward. So you need to see, what do I have in common with this person, and what are we coming together to move forward to do? Right? So if me and you just play video games, I can't talk to you about getting money. Because you don't get money. Now I want to make this relationship an everyday thing. Like, oh, come with me to the museum. Come with me to do this. Now we only play video games. Then I get mad at him because he don't want me to do all this other stuff. I don't have to waste time when I define a relationship. Nah, we good. I deal with you because this is a relationship that we got. From there, boom, I define that relationship, then I'm able to move on. Also, too, you got to know who to help because some people abuse you. Right? As men, part of one of the men principles, too, is to give because we're providers. right? But that can be abused. Abuse is a compound word, abnormal use. Because we're supposed to be used but not abused. If you're not doing it for yourself, don't expect me to help you with it. I don't care. Listen, I'm talking about me personally. There's certain things that I even do for my moms, and I love my mother. But because you can't maintain this or do this on your own, right? If I do this for you, I'm going to continue to have to maintain it. So I don't do stuff for people that they can't do for themselves. Because then it's going to become my burden, and I already got a burden being a man. So sometimes you got to say no. So after you stop and get this information, then you got to balance out your yeses and your nos. Because every time you say yes to somebody else, you say no to yourself. I'm telling you, y'all, this is how we're going to be able to move forward. Last but not least, I know that's the time, right? Last but not least, we got to preserve ourselves, y'all. And the way to do that, again, is to stop and define your relationships. There's a principle that I got that's called preservation and preserve. So if you want to preserve yourself, preservation and preserve is a compound word, pre and serve. Right? Pre is something that comes before you. Right? So the order goes God, man, and then woman. Pre, God comes before you. So you got to stay connected to God because he comes before you. When you serve him, he gives you everything you need, and you can give what you have that comes from him because he don't got no limitations at all, but you limited. But when I connect to the unlimited God, he gives me unlimited resources, and I can give it to the woman that I'm with. Half the time we be having issues because we got limited conversations, limited resources, and limited capacity to think, and we don't got nothing to give. And they like, yo, you're supposed to be providing for me, mentally and emotionally, but all we know is the physical aspect of providing. We don't got nothing for the mental wound or the emotional wound. And before they know it, we arguing and we beefing. We doing all of this stuff because there's nothing that we giving to them to reproduce. So what are we actually providing for them? We got to connect. So when you serve him, what comes before you, pre-serve, actually preserve yourself. You preserve yourself. Mentally, emotionally, and physically. He's going to tell you to eat right. I know he's been telling y'all to eat right already. I know Bob been telling y'all to slow down and go to the gym. He's been telling y'all that for weeks and months now. I know because I know God. And he wants us to be here to preserve ourselves so that we can continue to be used. Stop. Let your yes be yes. Let your no be no. And don't feel bad about saying no because people will still use you even when you ain't got no more. I'm telling you, they're going to keep on asking. They'll keep on asking. Let your yes be yes. Let your no be no. And please don't feel bad about that because it's just hard being a man just in general, y'all. I know I said a lot. Balance out your time, eat right, take care of yourself, serve God, get connected, and he's going to preserve you. He's going to keep y'all. I'm about to be 46 in 2 weeks. Right? He kept me. And I do a whole lot of stuff that I'm not supposed to be doing and I'm still here. So stay connected, ask for forgiveness, keep on moving. God is good, and I hope that we can continue to create this safe space to learn and build and deconstruct the constructs of what it is to be a man so we can elevate now.
Yeah, so we're gonna keep the program going. Thank you, Nick. That was amazing. So Nick is not one of those brothers that he spoke about all this infinite, limited, right? He's not a brother that you can limit, right? Like he can go on and on. His knowledge and wisdom is endless, right? He's one of my brothers where whenever I feel spiritually low, whenever I'm navigating through certain hurdles and I feel like, you know what I'm saying, I can use a little uplifting. He's definitely one of the people I will say calling. It's always free of judgment, and he always know how to give me the message that I need, and it always feel divine, and like it's coming from the place that I need it to come from, right? In the interest of time, I know you may have questions regarding what he said, or we're gonna pocket a little time towards the end so you guys can have questions. And I want to do like a topic time where if you're plagued with something throughout your journey and you want to say, hey, well, you know, ask one of the members or even ask somebody in the group, yo, listen, when you come across this, how do you handle this? Or how do you manage this, right? This is what this space is for, all right? So, yes, he's done for now, but Nick is still here. So if you have any questions, put it in your phone, save it or whatever case, write it down, and you'll still be able to ask that question. All right. To give you a break from a lot that he just gave you, we have a performance by Keon. Keon is a very dope brother. He's gonna perform, and that's it. So without further ado, Keon, the stage is yours.
My performance is 3 minutes. I ain't gonna lie. No lie, I needed that. I needed that. For real, I needed that. And when you invited me, I didn't know. Oh my God. And I woke up in the morning and I'm like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm an artist for a living. I'm not getting paid. It's a whole bunch of thoughts going through my head. And I'm like, you said yes. Be a man of your word. And when he just paid me more than home. Like for real, for real. For real, for real. For real, for real. So let's get into it. Justice is what we want. Our rights is what we need. Vengeance is who we are, and pain is what we bleed. False is what they teach, the truth is what they hide. Everything is an illusion. Do not believe your eyes. Do not believe the lies, the rumors, and all the talk. Because when it comes to my people, we always see them for short. Racial discrimination, here it happened in New York. It's kind of a long story. I'm going to try to keep it short. I'm talking about Eric Gardner. A husband, a son, and a father. Police want to bother, he ain't even do nothing. They choked him to the ground and killed him. And then they cuffed him. He was huffing and puffing, he's screaming, I can't breathe. But that cop didn't ease the pressure off his neck. Damn, that got me vexed. Got me thinking that I'm next. We gotta fight for change. We gotta fight for respect. Walker, mal in my shoes. You know what I've been through. I spit it off my mental, but I'm good with the pencil. I just talk about my life and everything that I've seen. Not talking to TV screen. I'm talking reality. Police brutality. All my brothers catching charge. Ain't talking no battery. But we can't beat the system because it's set for us to lose. Counts are blessed by twos. Maybe 3 or 4. I was like 3 or 4 when Papa left through the door, black kid, no father figure. We supposed to pick up a ball, sell drugs, and split it ball. So now when I'm 28 years old and I'm at the point of my life where I know what I want, just don't know how to get it. Time to become a man. Now my whole life different. That's God that showed me real and all my friends were missing. They all started sinning. All these women were holding and all my niggas was tripping off of what I say, what I do, what I wear. Trying to catch some buzz, last name Lightyear. Living in my dream waking that was my language. Trying to catch some buzz, last name Lightyear. Living in my dream, waking up is my nightmare. They don't worry about themselves because all they do is care about what I do, what I wear, what I say. What I say, what I wear, what I do. They talk these rifles, my hand in the Bible. I tell you how to stay alive, only if I knew what's on the cop killer's mind. Black genocide when patrol car ride through my neighborhood. They think we up to no good, we just misunderstood. As a community, instead of killing each other, we could live in unity. But they rather sit and plot about what they're gonna do to me. But to be honest, I really refuse to be another statistic. Because I'm on a mission to change the system. Talking about tapping something bigger, I'm talking about wisdom. But let me shut up, because nobody in here listen, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you. That was dope. That was deep. We might get a minute to take that on Olivia. Let's give him a round of applause. So that exchange that you guys just saw with Keon and the brother Nick right before he performed, like that was like you can't draw that up. You know what I'm saying? That was genuine, that was real. And again, when I started off and I said, listen, brothers, take your armor off, it's because I know. Right? I know what it's like to mass through life, feeling like every minute you gotta be on point, every minute. This is my event, I still got a knife on my hip. You know what I'm saying? Like I just can't help it, right? You know, I can't help it. But that's how we navigate through life. Always gotta be on point. Always gotta be ready to scuffle, scrap, fight, right? But this is a place where you can feel safe, man. That was just an exchange of emotions with 2 brothers that don't even know each other. Right? And we need that. Right? We need that. Right? Then we can leave here and go back into open our doors and be that man, that husband, the fathers, the brothers, the nephews that we need to be in our everyday life. Right? So that piece was amazing. I don't want to take too much time. Like I said, you can ask Keon questions at the end, Nick questions, right? Without further ado, our next speaker is Antonio Young. He's going to tell you a little bit. He might spend less time than Nick. This brother is a sports agent. He's going to tell you a little bit about his story, his background, how he got to where he is today. I don't know if he'll be able to hang around. He's running a tight schedule again. He did this as a favor for me. So he's going to tell his story. The stage is all yours.
How y'all doing? First, it's hard to follow that up. Man, that was heavy. I mean, like that's heavy. I'm probably nowhere near as heavy. Just a heads up. Just a little bit of background on me. As brother said, I'm a sports agent in Washington. Also, I'm an adjunct professor at NYU in Tisch Global Sports. So when I was asked about doing this, I was really trying to think it out. I didn't want to lecture you guys. I do that a lot. Most of the panels I've been on have been more of like a Q&A, so I kind of wanted to figure out how I wanted to deliver a message. And I did, and I was definitely not expecting to have to follow after this guy or this guy. So I'm like, ugh. So there's a couple, once again, there's a couple themes that I'm gonna hit that are gonna go through my story. One is being organic. Organic is so key because we live in such like a constructed, choreographed world. We're stuck with so much stimuli on our phone. I was fortunate, I'm 38, I'm fortunate to live in a time where I didn't have the internet on my phone, probably my most developmental time. So it wasn't about pretending to be someone on the internet, you had to be your organic self, and that's how you moved around. So being organic is one. Opportunities. If I didn't have a mentor or someone that is gonna go to my next point, the relationship to get to that point, the points I am, I wouldn't be here. Like, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, like, the truth about being a black male in America is about being doubly qualified to meet the same mediocre standard as them. And if it wasn't for the relationships I had, I wouldn't be here. So it goes into relationships. Relationships to this journey have been completely key. If I didn't have mentors, people I looked up to, people that were able to, a lot of people try to say that they're self-made. But we're talking about books, another good book, Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book called The Outliers, and one of the things he talked about is how we always say about being self-made, but in actuality, if we didn't have someone invest in us, even a little bit, that 20-minute conversation after school, that after-school program, any of that, we wouldn't be here. So none of us are self-made. We're all helped develop through a relationship. Resilience. Life is tough. Life is seriously life and now. I think one of the worst things to be is educated and understand how things work. Because if you, my man says he just follows legacy news all day. If you want legacy news, man, you're stressing out. You're stressed. If you have a stock portfolio of any kind, you are stressing right now. It is rough out here. So resilience is key on so many levels in my story. Discipline. Discipline is huge, man. Like I said I was an agent. I said that I'm a professor, but I'm also an entrepreneur, and that was kind of this entire thing. I'm the owner of a logistics company. So essentially, in all these aspects, I have to discipline myself to go out and hunt my own food. I don't wake up and go somewhere every day. I more or less, in the establishment terms, look at myself as a hunter. I wake up, I sharpen my blade, I get my mind right, I go out there, and I kill something, and then I gotta drag it back, and I gotta skin it, and I gotta cook it myself. You know what I'm saying? So the discipline, and the biggest part is dreaming. Being a dreamer, man. Like, my brother was just left, was sitting right here. I went to college with him. And one of my favorite shows, I don't know if any of y'all ever heard of it, it's called Entourage. It was on HBO. So Ari Gold, the agent, is the reason I'm an agent. Because I would sit there and we didn't have cable at my house, so I would go to one of my classmates' crib and watch HBO. And I'm like, that is the life I want. I want to be able to travel the world with my friends and do the most. And I want to be able to represent athletes on a high level. So, having said that, segue into just basically my bio, which cuts into all of these. My life wasn't, I'm in a lot of sports metaphors. I played sports, I worked in schools. So if you guys are into sports, you watch like the NFL draft, and one thing that ESPN has done a horrible job of is that every story about a black person has made it such a sad story. They live in a car, they overcome these crazy heights to be that. But in actuality, I mean, these are a part of their story, but what I tell kids and I tell even adults and parents is that the one thing that they have is that their kid is that 1 in a billion. What I mean 1 in a billion is the NFL draft works in it's 7 rounds and 32 picks in each draft. So mathematically, by the math, you have a better chance of being struck by lightning twice and winning the lottery than being a first-round NFL draft.
And together.
Together. The math is crazy. It's almost mathematically impossible. So like we have these stories, but like in actuality, they were just extremely talented, resilient, dreamers, you know. And that's my life, my story. I was born in a military base out in Yuma, Arizona. Daddy's a 14-year Marine. I had both my parents. They divorced. My mom had a bit of a substance abuse problem. My white mother had a bit of a substance abuse problem. So she ended up going to prison. So I went and lived with my black father. My dad, it's fun, I never really talk about vulnerability. I never really get into the whole being mixed part. Because having a black daddy, you're black. Like, I'm black. I've never been mixed. I've never questioned it. I've never been like, oh my God, I don't know what I am. Nah, I'm black. That's the period. My grandfather was a Black Panther. One of the first books I remember reading in my life when I was 10 was Martin Luther King, Where We Go From Here, Community or Chaos. So these things have been indoctrinated in my story. I went to live with my father. My father was disciplinarian. Disciplinarian to the point where, like, I wasn't allowed to have a girlfriend. Like, I wasn't allowed to, it was school, sports, that's it. Very, 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 very almost unrealistic expectations for both. Being a graduating salutatorian and being a top athlete, it allowed me the opportunity to make my pick in what schools I went to. I had my pick from 20 schools throughout the SEC, the Big Ten, and I picked Pennsylvania State University. And it's funny because, I'm sorry, I missed a part. So before that, I got kicked out of school. I'm from Philly Public School. I got kicked out of school because, and this will age me, someone stole my Discman out of my locker. For all those that don't know what a Discman is, back in the olden days, we used to have to put a CD, we had to put a physical CD in a CD player, we had to close the CD player, we had to take the wire and put it in and put headphones on. Which is hard if you're in a car just walking around, because every time it bumps, you're skipping, your CD is skipping. So, I tried to take it out of my locker. Philly had just adopted a zero tolerance policy on assault. I assaulted him, and I was kicked out of school. And I mean, obviously, I had the privilege of being a high athlete, high IQ guy. So they did all they could to try to keep me in that school. But opportunity struck, and I got to go to a school called the Scottish School for Veteran Children. Military school, not around anymore. State school for the children of veterans. So high discipline. I was in JRBC. I was second commandant of cadets. Had to wake up every morning at 5 PT, and they really pushed you in the track of college or the military. That was probably one of the things that changed my life, because I think about, like, what if I had stayed in the pub, like, what would have happened? But having that discipline, being an all-black school with like 30-some kids allowed me to have the opportunity to have that one-on-one education time with, and just build those relationships. So I got the pick of my schools. I picked the Pennsylvania State University. If it was really up to me, I'd probably went to Arizona State, because I vaguely remember my visit. I know I had an amazing time, and I wanted to go there. But my mother, I graduated when I was 17, and back then, before NIL, it was a letter of intent, which essentially was a contract between you and the university. They're giving you a 4-year scholarship. You're signing a contract saying that y'all own me. So, being 17, my parents had to sign off on this. So I went to Penn State, got to play for a legendary coach, but hiccups happened. I tore my labrum twice, and I had nerve damage in my shoulder. So after my redshirt freshman year, I was medically uncleared. So that means I couldn't play anymore. Now, to be an athlete, and you guys are athletes, or no, and at that age, it becomes your identity. Like, that's who you are. On campus, it was at home, football. Okay, like, and all the rights and privileges that come with that. So being an 18, 19, well, being a 20-year-old, it really threw me off. It really messed me up because my identity was kind of lost. Because now I'm like, well, what purpose do I serve? I came here to play football and, got a free education with it. But so I made another pivot, change in the way I was going about things. And I was able to pledge a fraternity, Mega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, which was honestly one of the three best decisions another one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. Going to Scotland School, going to Penn State, pledging Omega Psi Phi. It was an opportunity to build with like-minded brothers, people that looked like me, that shared the same values. And I mean, it's weird going to a school like Penn State, 50,000 students, we had 4,500 black students. So that's like the equivalent of Lincoln and Cheney University, two black colleges, population was 1. So we had the opportunity to have like a black school and a white school. Being able to build that way and have that bubble type atmosphere really helped develop me. After school, I had an opportunity to work at Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy. I did integrated marketing strategy. I was the only person that looked like me on my team. As you can imagine, because like I said before, you have to be double to be at the same level as that mediocre hire. I was blowing the doors off them really fast, and I was able to move and elevate up. And the idea got in my head and it wouldn't leave. It was like echoing that, like, if they're gonna pay you this much, and like we were talking about club culture. I mean, I was living like an unrealistic life. I'm 24 years old in Greenhouse with like a $10,000 spend. So at Spendworks, places like that don't exist, Pink Elephant, One Oak, Greenhouse, they have accounts with us. I worked on Hennessy Black, and I worked on a horrible, horrible brand called 10 Cane Rum. It's horrible. It didn't last very long. But the clubs would spend like $15,000, $20,000, so we would return the favor by going and spending, making a spectacle of it, because back in those days you had sections and bottles and all that, and then you move on to the next spot. But this thing in my head just kept going like, well, bro, if they're paying you all this to do this, and they think that you're able to hit these buckets like this, you probably do it on your own. And so I was like, you know what? I'm starting my own consulting company. I got the opportunity to work on brands like Microsoft Zoom, which does not exist anymore, Xbox, Pepsi. And as soon as I stepped out, I fell flat on my face. And I ended up on an air mattress in my aunt's living room. And this is 26, 27, and Instagram is fairly new, 3-4 years old. And I'm going through it, I'm just scrolling, I'm seeing everybody like living their life, man, and living. I'm like, where did I go wrong? I cursed. Man, I really fucked up. Like, these guys are enjoying their life, and it looks great. Obviously, you only see the wins, you don't see the losses. But it really dragged on me, and I was like, man. So now the discipline and going through adversity is really starting to click in, because in life, when you fall off the horse, most people don't get back on, especially when you do some shit that's not normal. Like, the safe thing to do is to apply for a job, get interviewed for that job. Okay, sorry about that. And go do that job, go through it, and have my food delivered every day. And I'm failing at doing something I really wanted to do, it was rough. But the opportunity, it arose for me to keep going. I pushed myself through it, and the goal was to be an agent. But there wasn't many people at the time that looked like me that did it. There was like maybe 2 or 3. So I really locked in on those people, and I studied them for years. Like, it was almost like some stand stuff. Like, they didn't know until I met them, but I'm studying all their moves and how they did it. And when the opportunity arose, I was able to sign the highest paid corner in the NFL to a business management contract. This is 2011, his name's Brandon Carr, corner for the Cowboys. Signed a 5-year, $50.1 million deal with 26.5 guaranteed. Now this is the old CBA, and since then the cap has gone up $126 million. But at the time, that was a lot of money. So I had the opportunity to be a part of that team, and we're the same age. We're both like 27, which is a horrible idea for a 27-year-old just recently $50 million in there to be with a 27-year-old on the come up doing it, because we did the most. I did the entire entourage life. We were in it's crazy. It sounded like some rapper shit. And I was like, now I'm like 38. I'm looking back. I'm like, oh, I did that. We were in Miami at the Fontainebleau, Monday morning after lift, going crazy. Hey man, check the temperature in Dallas. Oh, it's like 46. You wanna go to LA? When, like today? Yeah, right now. Book some flights. Let's go. Seriously? All right. Booked the flight. went to Fort Lauderdale. Flew to LAX. Was at Greystone Manor at the end of the night. And it was a life I was like, man, I really, really wanted this. And that wasn't the end though. I was like, okay, if I'm able to get to this point, I always stretch it. I'm like, if I'm able to talk to this person, I've got to be able to talk to this person. If I got to this point, I can keep going. The real authority on this end of sports is the agent. Now, for those that don't know, the NFLPA agent's exam is harder than the MCAS. It's a 32% pass rate. So I wanted to be an agent. I took it. I think a little bit of my hubris got the best of me, and I bombed it. When I mean bombed it, it's a 3-hour test, 60 questions, open book and open note. And I knew in the first 15 minutes, I was like, oh, I failed this shit. And it sucked because it was during COVID. So like they're just prompting you on the camera. They're like, hey, why'd you move like that? I'm already nervous. I'm like, oh, bombed it. So I invested in myself, took a class, spent about $4,000, took a class, and I really locked in like I was in college again, and I studied my ass off, and I passed that test, and I was able to become an agent here at the second largest sports agency on the planet. I represent a wide array of athletes from baseball now, basketball, football. Just finished my second draft cycle with Wasserman, so got guys getting ready for this year's draft. And sometimes I have no idea how I got here, because it seemed like it went so fast, and like I literally manifested everything I wanted, and I literally just put it in my head like, yo, I'm gonna keep going. And look, I still in this game, you're building relationships with people, and you're on it for months and months and months, and you're investing your time, your emotion, just for them to come to the end and say, you know what, I think I'm gonna go with Clutch. Or I think I'm gonna go with CAA. Or I'm gonna go with Rock Nation. And it's tough because you build those real relationships, and you invest sweat equity, time that you can't get back. And I'm not being paid by the athlete. So I'm really just hunting, throwing my spear, and missing. But grab out the tree, grab the ground, sharpen it up, and get back at it. You know what I'm saying? And like, that is life in a nutshell. And we're going through some wild ass times right now. And things are gonna get way worse. But the reality is, we're resilient people. You know what I'm saying? 400 years plus. Unshaken, unbroken, still here. Still the DNA of this country. So now it's up to us and up to you to have that discipline, have that focus, have that drive. And the realest thing I tell people is you gotta be willing to suffer. It's a hard word. I mean, any entrepreneur, all entrepreneurs on the stage know, man, look, you're the product. The hardest part of that is like, for example, you go to work, clock in, you come home, you're like, I'm done that shit. But when you're the product, and someone thinks you're not good enough, you start to think, you know what, maybe I'm not good enough, because I'm the product. I was telling my therapist this shit, it's a very blurry line. Like, the line is, there's the person and there's the product, and I'm both. So I live this duality in my mind where I constantly have to like push myself, and that discipline from having a Marine father, hey man, suck that shit up. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not gonna give it to you. You're not even supposed to be here. whenever I get down and some shit I do a lot and I encourage brothers to do it, is you have to give yourself your flowers and you have to reward yourself. And we're told to be humble so much. Like that, dude. You gotta tell yourself how much of a dog you are. The type of numbers, all right, we represent 13.5% of all people in America, right? As black people. I was able to get into a top 25 university. That puts me in like that puts me in the 5% of all people that look like me. I was able to graduate from that university. That puts me in to 2% of all people that look like me.
That's crazy.
Like,
Wow.
I was able to make a certain amount of money that I was like, holy shit, that puts me in the 1% of all people that look like me. And look, and it fluctuates. This shit goes up. And look, this shit fluctuates, man. It goes up and down. I mean, every unlike what you see on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, this shit is not a party all the time. And all the people that you see are partying right now, they're stressing out right now. Because I guarantee you, if anything's going bad, their stock portfolio is getting killed right now. So a lot of people are losing their ass. So I summarize to say it all, man. The things I highlight in the beginning are things that are tenements to your life. Keep pushing through that shit. And I don't want to sound like an after school special, but you really can do whatever you want. Like, I dreamed this shit. I seen Ari Gold on TV. I was like, yo, I'm gonna do that shit. And there's no blueprint to being an agent. I can't go apply nowhere. Like, there's not like, hey, you wanna be a sports agent? Come apply on the website. That shit don't exist. It's like, do you know somebody that does it? Oh, you might know somebody that person can give you 5 to 10 minutes of their day to actually teach you how to do this shit?
No.
Well, you gotta make them. You gotta make them do that shit because that's the hunger, right? I told my mentor that, all right, I'm gonna be a pain in the ass. You're gonna hear from me every day. And that's how I got to this point. And once again, I'm a little bit long-winded. Nowhere near as deep as brother over here, the brother right here, but I hope I was able to just give you a little insight behind the veil of my life and the principles and things that got me to this point. And I appreciate the opportunity and honor being here in time. So thank you.
All right, guys. So that was an amazing story. This brother is very successful. Like he said, you don't always have to be humble. You got to know when to be humble, when not to. And he accomplished a lot, man. Like he said, he gave you the percentages, but he didn't tell no tales, right? It's very difficult to get into that university, much less graduate, much less see the success that he's seeing and receiving right now being a sports agent, right? I know many of us had dreams and hopes of being athletes, and I love having people like him on the panel because growing up, every time I go out to these schools, I always tell them, like, listen, like, we so focused on the athlete, but it's only because there's so many careers around sports that we're unaware of, right? That may interest you just as much, right? You like basketball, well, you can still be around the sport of basketball, baseball, football in different realms, in different areas. And a lot of times, these people make great money, sometimes more money than some of the athletes on the team. Like football, he said, I remember, so I went to Auburn University, the Giants practiced there in their off season. They practiced in our college. And we used to make fun because you'll see some Bentleys and some Phantoms in the parking lot, but then you also see Toyota Corollas, because not everybody on the football team is making millions of dollars, right? So there's certain people that work for the NFL making more money than half the NFL team. Right, but you don't know about those careers because you just so fixated on the field part of it, right? The QB, the cornerback, the middle line, right? But there's certain people get your education, right, that either represents them or different titles, but you could see success in that same sport or field. All right. Really quick, how everybody feeling? Y'all feel good? Great. Do you feel like you want to stand and stretch, or we could go right into the next performance? Everybody just stand and stretch real quick, just check it out. Just stand up, you know what I'm saying, check it out. Because either physically you sit there for a while, or that was a lot to take in, mentally, emotionally. Grab me another water.
like 2011, 2012, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was not.
All right, y'all. So everybody, y'all can sit back down now. All right. So y'all spoke about. So Antonio spoke about Dick being a hard act to follow. Next comes to the stage, we have a performance by Just Ace. I think following Keon might be just as much of a hard act to follow, but Just Ace is just as dope. So without further ado, everybody please give your respect and attention. Appreciate it.
Hey, you. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, sir. So, how about, I'm gonna just do two pieces. But I feel like, I need to know who I am. His father was a former drug dealer. His mother cleaned floors for white folks. He lived on a back block. All his friends sold drugs. All their huffies had white spokes, these middle school hustlers. Children of struggle, none of their parents wore white coats, these children of abstract. Where hope sinks and hype floats, with dark nights and tight ropes, where warm hugs are given to cold flesh till life goes. He walks this meeting. Between warm heart and ice cold, he's seen classmates die. He's learned to talk to spirits and read while sitting beside ghosts where beef tarries on. He's tagged his scales and learned to heed in sight smoke. He's damaged. But you can never see his scars. Blight covers his skies so you can never see his stars, but his imagination is stronger than anything you've ever seen this far. But he's hood. And from where hoods wear hoods, and that's all he's ever seen this far. His life expectancy's only 18, so how could he ever dream this far? So I speak for him when I say we could never dream this far in advancement. What the fuck are we talking about? I find that people always have an opinion when they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, so this is medicine. Pre-course, for those that don't know and want resource in Philadelphia, DHS was always that weapon and not a resource. So I hope you recourse the act of telling people that are black or victims of a system to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. My father was born in 1946. They were still smiling and taking pictures while black bodies were hanging under noose straps. And true facts, Tulsa's not that far off. And some drove their car off to a new gap, forgetting the old gap because of news gaps, and ensues that because you're in a house and I'm in the field, you don't know the impact of a whip crack. And when Toby got his foot cut off, then we all had to limp back. And I am subject to his pain. But on the other side of the glass, you couldn't get that. I'm my brother's keeper. 2 fingers holding these reins bent back to bring him back. So where is he now? Working hard not to be the elite brown and forget their niggas. When it's time to speak down, he shares and we found. If his life expectancy wasn't 18, then he'd dream. Through closed eyes and closed skies, he'd be better prepared for the future if he wasn't prepared to die. So I wrote that, right? Because the same way, like he said, no one told him how to be an agent, and the same, nobody told me I could be a doctor, and no one said, oh, you know what, you're doing real good in school, and you passed all these grades without ease, how about you not go to an upper class and stay in the class you in, and from that class, we'll teach you how to get further. They put you in gifted classes to separate you from the other kids that would actually learn from you, and we never figured that one out. It's all these other kids in the class, but they learn off a curve. Why is that? You never thought about that, right?
Yeah.
Nobody ever thinks about that. I got asked a question the other day, what would you do with $3 billion? And I'm gonna ask y'all that same question, but I'm gonna give y'all my answer. I would start my own political party. And then I would back it by lobbying for reparations. Because once we all speaking with the same amount of money, now we talk about generational wealth is something different. Meet me when you pay me. All of y'all in here are descendants of slaves. And they ain't paying y'all shit, but say y'all ain't worth it. And they the ones with the money, but all of a sudden now you're the ones that's been working all these years. That don't make sense to y'all? They're gonna use you as long as they can. I got one more for you, man. I'm gonna go sit myself back down. My father was an artist, an experienced sculptor. He made me stone. I was clay, molded, misshapen by hands that were hardened and chained for their affliction. My makers, loving but damaged, told me head down, tuck your chin, roll your shoulders. Some things you might not rock with, but you understand when you get older. They molded me, mended me, made me unyielding, unbending, unable to be further pressed but their hands, stricken, arthritic, always cut to God for their prayers, like porcelain, polished reactions from what dissolved, they made art. Four hands pulling together, they made a bowl. Bottomless, without a ceiling, they made a hole. I had a brother once, but we don't speak on that. Cracks broke my sister, but we won't speak on that. Not in this house of stone. My father, nothing less than a hero, forged me in a volcano molten in the ways of his father. A mountain of a man, but still just another rolling stone. And I watched, like he watched, felt the tears calcify how concrete these patterns form. My grandmother, like my mother, like all the porcelain that loved me, all got a hard-headed man with flesh of sand that doesn't end up where he's supposed to be. And I fall, like they fall, and damage everything that is close to me, even though I tried so hard, be a monument, a statue, something they would always be proud to see. But tears won't fix shadow. And there's no more water fountain in me. And the hardest part about being stoned, no one ever asks if you're okay. You're supposed to do damage, not be damaged. You're supposed to come off great. They think when you fly off, only others feel the pain, and you can't explain because it's not the same. You're stoned. You break shit and build homes, at least that's what I was told. Regrets and alcohol led my father to a headstone. These same regrets keep me 12 steps from holy ground. But what is the point of building this path if it only leads to destruction? Now I'm going to sit myself down. Thank you.
That's hard. Yeah. So brother Nick just asked me if I'm recording this. I'm definitely recording it. So for those that know, a lot of that is probably went over your head. Hopefully we'll be able to build this content and distribute it so you guys can get that back. All right. Now let's give it up again for Jeffrey. All right. So last but not least. You guys know who I am. Again, my name is Stopper. My full name is Amistad, right? So I got a lot of friends and family in the room and probably never even heard me say my full name, right? Right? And my full name is so powerful, man. I just keep it to the chest. My name means the chosen one, right? So I tell everybody my name is Stopper. My full name is Amistad, all right? All right, so what I like to do is, so my portion of the presentation is kind of going to couple everything that you guys received today, right? But I like to break things down and talk to people in a way, in a language that they can understand, right? So my program, like I told you guys earlier, is Men Elevate Now, right? And what Men Elevate Now is is excuse my language, I mean, is there anybody that write better than me? If not, I'm gonna just continue to the show. Alright, cool. I don't write too neat, so please forgive me, but you guys are gonna understand. Alright, so male
versus man.
man. Alright? So I'm a firm believer, and you guys can put this in your phone, put it in your head, however you want to do it, right? That you are male by birth, man by choice. Right? Male by birth, man by choice. Right? So, facial hair, gray hair, age do not make you a man. Right? You have to choose to be a man. And a lot of people don't make that decision. Right? So, I could talk about my personal story, my father, if you guys have fathers, or if you're around men, teachers, just because a person is older, just because a person possesses certain things, that does not make them a man. That makes them an adult man, right? So, to help you guys, because this is what I do, and I'm going to give you guys a lot of tools and equip you guys with the knowledge and how I became who I am today by using these things. But I think it's really important to take things out of your mind and write them down. Alright, so using audience participation, how would you guys define male?
An adult with no responsibility.
Okay, an adult. I'll just put adult.
Say that question again.
How would you define male?
Well, I would say a human with a penis. Like,
There you go. There you go. Yeah, there you go.
no purpose.
Alright? Anything else? It's really simple. Don't gotta bust your brains here. Alright, now how would you define a man?
Accountable.
Accountable.
Integrity.
Integrity. Alright, here we go. Now we cooking.
Responsible.
Alright. Accountable. Integrity.
Respect. Provider. Mature.
Hey, bro, somebody help me out.
You got it. Integrity. G-R-I-T-Y.
G what?
R-I-T-Y.
Integrity.
I-N-T.
Responsible.
I would say stoic.
Accountable. Integrity. Responsible. What else I heard?
Provider.
Provider. That came from the woman in the room.
Word?
Stoic. You said stoic?
Yeah.
Stoic meaning like serious. Stoic meaning what?
It's not reacting.
Yeah.
Balance.
Alright.
Let's go one with that probably most don't know about, emotional intelligence.
Okay. Balance. Emotional intelligence.
Protector.
Okay, we cooking.
Thinking for others.
Protector.
That's a big one. Thinking for others.
Thinking for others.
Teacher.
And with emotion, I probably put emotion / like logical. Like that.
Well, that always goes down with the intelligence
Teacher.
and the emotions. Knowing how to handle
Protector.
I got protector.
Oh,
Somebody said leader. What else?
Influential.
Influential. What else? We could go on and on, right? So when we say you are male by birth and a man by choice, visually, you can see why a person would choose to be a male and not a man. It's a lot harder to be a man. Right? Look what we have on the board. Accountable, integrity, responsible, provider, balanced, emotionally intelligent, protector, stoic, thinker for others, teacher, leader, influential, right? So to wake up as a man come with all these responsibilities.
Let's go with one that's missing in our community, kindness and respect.
Okay? Kindness. You're right. How did we miss respect? Right?
mentioned that.
Okay, so that's on me. That's on me.
It's
Right?
free to be kind.
So going back to it, you are male by choice. You're male by birth, a man by choice, right? So this is why we have adult males, right? Because when you choose and commit to being a man, it comes with all these responsibilities.
That's a lot.
And that's a lie.
Unless
got to look
unless
at
you were
father.
raised this way.
Father, right? Father,
And friend.
friend. It's a whole lot that we can pay, right? Honest, right?
Yeah, definitely that one.
Honest. Okay? So you're a male by birth and a man by choice. The problem is we have a lot of peers. We have a lot of dope males, right? It's the blind leading the blind, right? And it's because we have a lot of people that have not committed to being a man, right? And commitment only happens once. Once you commit, it's a one-time thing, right? But it's difficult, right? It's difficult to be accountable, have integrity, be responsible, to do all these things on a daily basis, right? And then what end up happening? We're failing one another. We're failing our children, right? We're failing our women. And I don't know if you guys see what's going on right now, but we're under attack. Well, we've always been under attack. Let's be for real, right? The black man has always been under attack, right? It started with slavery, right? They ripped us from our families, right? Mass incarceration, right? And now these gender wars, right? These gender wars. We fighting each other. We fighting our own women. Now women don't think that they don't need no man for anything, and that I don't need no man for nothing more. And men don't know where they stand and their family, right? And their relationships. Now it's all this, you got to pay all the bills and 50-50 this, 50-50 that, and we're confused.
I think
We're confused. We don't know who we are, where to stand. We're not cemented in no ground because we truly don't know. And then you go to certain people, you go to an adult male, and he leads you astray because he don't know either. Right? We're supposed to take care of our women and our children. Nick spoke about the divine order. Right? The problem is, if you're choosing the wrong woman, that's why you count your pockets and you feel like you should only go 50-50. But if you was with the right woman, you would want to take care of them to the best of your ability, whatever that means. Right? You're a male by birth, you're a man by choice. So I started the program, right, because I often like to ask people at what age you became a man. Right? I became a man at 27. Right? And there's a lot of things that I learned later on in life that I wish that I knew earlier. Right? So I devoted my time in creating this program. It's housed in different high schools. I have certain schools that reach out as young as elementary school and junior high school. But I start here. This is the forefront of my program. I start day one introducing them because you can become a man at 18, 19 as long as you make this commitment and knows what comes with being a man. Right? This 16, 17-year-olds taking care of their mothers. Right? Because daddy left and they had to start working early, right? And so on and so forth. Right? But as long as you're doing what you have, this is when you become a man. Having sex, being a woman, that's not what makes you a man. Right? So, this is how I started the program. This is why I started the program. I'm glad that we graduated into having male empowerment seminars because, like I said, I opened a juice bar 3 years ago, and it was a lot of adult males coming into the environment, and it was just like ignorance, the conversations. I mean, I heard a dude recently who was at the juice bar. He's like, I'm supposed to sleep with my baby mother. That's like a rite of passage. I'm like, what?
I know you heard it all.
You just have you could miss out certain things on that board and just amplify the conversation because I believe a lot of people, like you said, don't know any better, and then they're misinformed and uneducated on how a man moves to even know how to make a decision.
Absolutely, right? And I'm so happy to see my brother Rocky here because I know Rocky for a really long time,
Decades.
right? Rocky, so a little bit about myself. So I don't want to go right in the wrong direction, right? But even how I met Rocky, and I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong, right? But I was going to a performance with my man was performing, right? And like Nick said about men always competing, Rocky was sizing me up.
Out from your joints.
Rocky was sizing me up. And I just moved a certain kind of way. And I was in the environment. I was on point. I peeped him. I seen him. Right, boom, boom. And then all of a sudden, Rocky started moving a little different. Right? So then eventually, we had a mutual friend. He said what's up with him. He ended up finding out who I was with. So then when he came and got me up, he was like, I can see your gun. That's what he said in my ear. I moved it so he could see it because I saw when he was watching me. So when I moved it and I replaced it, it was so that he know I'm not the one to play with. How long ago was that?
2004.
I'm not going to have something on me for you to see. Nah, when I moved it was so that you could see because I seen you watching me.
I have mine on too. We both, I have my chain and my gun on.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And then from there, I can't even tell. I can't tell you how the relationship started, but it started. And we've been cool ever since.
Alpha male friends.
You know what I'm saying? Right? But it's just like, it's about elevating, right? So when I say it's time to elevate, when I say men elevate now, it's because I know where I came from, I know what I've been through, and I know what's important for us to do, right? And a lot of times we are in each other's way, right? We are our biggest problem, right? So when I have these male empowerment seminars, I like to open up your mind and get you to think, where are you today, and is that your final destination? Right? Is that your final destination? When you was a younger, because everybody here is a different age, are you the version of yourself that you saw for yourself? And if not, then what's in your way? Right? When you were a kid and you dreamed of being this, and I wanted this car and this house and a big family, what got in your way of you becoming that person? Because here's what's so funny. So Brother Antonio spoke about him becoming who he is because of a show. That's how powerful the mind is and how he manifested who he is today, right? And it's so funny because my daughter and my lady's outside this room, right? And she's watching the show, my wife and kids, and if you ask me, I'm Michael Cobb, right? I grew up, that's my favorite show, watching that show, and because I didn't have a father, I created a character, or I fell in love with a character, and I said, man, I want to become this person, right? And if you never watched the show, My Wife and Kids, Michael Kyle, he was a business owner, right? He had his wife, he had his children. Michael Kyle was mad funny, right? Mad cool, he was into basketball, into sports, right? But he took care of his family, and I look back and I look at my life, and I'm like, man, so the characters that I always looked up to, whether in movies or in shows, I became them. Right? We all can become this version of ourselves that we see, but oftentimes we are in our own way. Right? You are the vehicle so even if you just look at it visually, like I said, I'm a visual learner, right? So this is where you came from, this is where you're going. What's in between where you came from and where you're going?
Where you at?
You. Right? You. So you have to take yourself there. Oftentimes, it's like we rather sleep because our dreams are better than our reality. Right? But you are in control. Once you wake up, you are in control of making that dream come true.
Wow.
You're in control of making that dream come true. Now, times have changed. Right? With our phones, we can access all the information that we need. Everything. Right? But why we get in our way is, one, we're limited because of the people that we surround ourselves with. Right? So let's talk about that. Right? All you have to do is look at your 5 closest people to you, and that'll tell you, if you don't know how to gauge yourself or where you are in your life, look at the 5 closest people to you, and that'll give you an idea of who you are and where you are. And if you don't like what that circle look like, then you're in the wrong circle. You have to change it. Right? My brother A-Rap, DJ A-Rap. And it's so funny because everybody know me now. Right? So, another interesting story, I met him in prison. Right? And we got cool knit. Similar situation to, I was to myself, I was so heated and disappointed in myself that I was even there. I don't think I belong in nobody's prison, jail, nothing. Right? Stupid decision, stupid night. right? Anyway, I'm so mad. I don't know if I was wearing that energy. It was nobody better not mess with me, but I was just heated, right? I was freezing. It was cold. I'm just like, yo, I do not belong here, right? I just think I'm too clean cut of a guy to be in those type of environments. Arab beat me, right? He very audacious, out of nowhere. I'm thinking he about to check me or whatever. He come and he say something to me. Yo, what's good, bro? Yo, I could just tell you got good energy, right? And it just made me laugh because that was the last thing I was expecting. Because that means he saw through, you know what I'm saying, the anger and everything else, right? So I don't know. We exchanged Instagrams, and when he got out, we sent each other, and we stayed cool ever since, right? But I ain't have no business there. Right? Again, the people you surround yourself around, right? So now, DJ A-Rap is one of my favorite DJs. The other day we was linking to watch the fight. He was like, yo, I'm DJing at this spot. Don't worry, it's your kind of environment. Pull up. Because he know. You can't invite me to the environments that I feel like is not conducive to who I am and who I want to be anymore. You won't find me in those environments. I don't really drink like that. Like I said, I have the juice bar. I like the herbal tonics. Other than that, you won't find me in those environments. And my friends and the people that's close to me know that. Right? So I like to give you guys information. I can tell you my personal story, but that's not what I'm here to do. Right? So as men, to help you, I think one of the things that you should do is create your mission and your vision. Your mission, your vision, and your core values. Right? This will help you not only define who you are, but it'll also help you in your day-to-day life make the right decisions and help you where you want to go. Right? What does that mean? You're operating like a business, right? Every business have a mission and a vision. Every business and organization have a mission and a vision, right? So to give you an idea, you won't go to Trader Joe's to buy a laptop. It's not a part of their mission or their vision, right? So on my wall in the hallway of my house, I have a big post-it that has my full name. It says CEO Mindset. It has my mission, my vision, and my 5 core values. I think every man in this room should have that. Right? Write it down, put it on your fridge, put it on your mirror, put it somewhere where you have a daily reminder. Right? When you come across any decision, relationship, friendship, job, career, right? Does this align with my mission, my vision, or my core values? Right? When you have that, it keeps you structured, it keeps you disciplined. Right? Yo, stop, you want to go so, I have to think. I know where I want to go, I know my mission, I know my vision. Does that align with who I am and who I want to be? Those decisions become simple. A lot of y'all dealing with certain women, y'all creating certain relationships and friendships. Are they aligned with your mission and vision? So Brother Nick said, you ask a lot of people who they are, and they'll tell you what they do. Yes. I didn't ask you where you work. Right? Or you don't have a mission, you don't have a vision, you don't know your core values, so you're kind of like aimless. Right? And as a man, you don't ever want to be that. Right? Because then that's when anybody could be like, hey yo, I'm hiring at the juice bar, I need you to work for me. Right? And then you take the job at the juice bar because we're paying, you probably need $17 an hour, but does working at the juice bar align with your mission and vision? So if you revert back 20 years ago, 10 years ago, when dudes on the block was able to just give dudes packs and have them hustle for them, that's because you aimless. Anybody can snatch you up and have you do whatever you want them to do because you don't have an identity or a path for yourself. But when you do, your decisions become very easy. Does this align with who I want to become? Does this align with my mission and my vision? Very simple. Right? Do you guys feel like that's helpful? Yes. All right? And once you do that, it makes everything simple. Find the time. Right? Find the time to write that down. Sundays are great. Sunday mornings, whenever it is, right? Write that down, post it, right? Take that serious. And it doesn't mean that it stays that way, right? Because after 10 years, you may determine, you know what? It's time to upgrade my mission and my vision. Or the world is vastly changing, right? So you got to keep up with the times and technology. So it's always okay to, like our phones do, have a software update, right? But so it's a lot of tools. So that's one thing that I think is very helpful. how I define male and man, you can do this for yourself, but you can also do this. And so I always say 90% of relationships are based on assumptions, right? So you have this friend, for example, and I'm not using Nick because Nick is proven, right? Where with this friendship, in my mind, if I'm in need, Nick has my back, right? But you've been friends with